afternoon, everybody. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Great. Amy, can we do roll call, please?
Mr. Gilbert?
Here.
Mr. Teetsort?
Here.
Mr. Detzel?
Here.
Mr. Heather? Mrs. Tauber?
Here.
Just as a reminder, the Northwest Local School District will create a responsive learning community where all students are valued, challenged, and guided along a pathway to success. And first item is we will make a motion in a second to adopt this evening's agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Passes 5-0. Okay, that brings us to Student Achievement Liaison Report.
I don't have anything tonight, but I was hoping that we could take a moment of silence for Tyler Carter, who was lost.
Absolutely.
Car accident.
Sure.
Thank you.
Okay, Jim, you're up.
Let's have Mr. Fox from the Precision Machining at Butler Tech do a little presentation tonight.
All right. Face this way?
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, we used to face that way when we were
Yeah.
I'm going to have some of my students stand up here with me real quick. I got Devin Caldwell and Ethan Pennycock. Okay, they'll be here. I'll introduce those guys in just a second. First of all, my name's Dave Fox. I run the Precision Machining program over at Coleraine. I see a lot of your faces come in and out, especially Mr. Detzel, Mr. Yater that come through. We're really proud of our program. We have a tremendous success rate of employing students, pretty much almost 100%. If you're not getting a job, it's kind of on the kid, not us, because we have usually 100 job opportunities for 25 kids per year. And we have 50 members to our business advisory. We have probably the largest business advisory. Also helps with donations to the thing. We have had over $300,000 in donations of just machinery alone in the last 3 years. Some former, I was just talking to Mr. Detzel out there, some former graduates of Coleraine, 1979, you think?
He graduated from Northwest.
Our Northwest.
Yeah.
And he donated about an $80,000 machine. It was Harold Shook. Do you guys, Scott Hammer owns Enterprise Machine, former Coleraine student, donated a machine to us. And a company named Track Machine just donated 6 brand new CNC computer-controlled machines to us. We have pretty much all our materials and stocks donated to us for free now, and allows me with our school budget to buy a lot of fun stuff like measuring tools and stuff to make the class really cool out there. So really proud of our program. Each of these students, we have a third on our way. The teacher told the student that it was at Struble Elementary. That teacher was me. So she's over there right now, but she's on her way. Hopefully she'll make it in time. But I'm going to introduce Devin Caldwell. He's going to tell you where he works at, and I'll ask him a few questions because I know this is difficult for some of these young kids to speak up. Hey, what's your name?
Devin Caldwell, and I'm a senior at Coleraine High School. And I work at a company called North Bend Pattern Works in Indiana, right in West Harrison. And we make parts for the automotive industry, and usually the parts I get, though, I'm not sure what they're for. They don't really tell us. They just hand us a part and say, make this, we need this now. So.
And you've been working pretty much?
I've been working the whole summer, actually. I started in June, and I continued to work for the school year.
So he worked the whole summer, and now he's on his co-op, starting his co-op. And he's probably going to end up being an early graduate, aren't you?
Yes.
He does really good in all his grades and stuff like that. And what kind of money are you making per hour right now?
Right now they're paying me $17 an hour.
And how many hours a week?
During the summer it was 40. Now it's about 24 to 26. I think.
So you're not used to that pay cut, are you? Yeah, that 40's kind of nice. So, and I get great reports on him from his employers. They love him. And how did you get interested in the program?
My brother actually took the program about 2 years ago, I think it was. And And he was really interested, and he was showing me a lot of things. And I went to class with him a couple of times, and I was like, this is really nice, really cool. So I was like, I'll try it, and I ended up loving it. So I stuck with it.
Now, are you going to go right into the working world when you graduate, or are you going to go to college, or do
As of
something
right
else?
now, I plan on going straight to the workforce, just
Okay.
continuing with my job. I really haven't decided on college. As of right now, it's probably a no, but
Okay.
that could change.
You're gonna stay where you're at the
Yes,
same
sir.
company?
Yes, sir.
The program offers these kids usually about $2,000 a year in scholarship money donated from the Haas Manufacturing Company. And we try to give that out to every student. So if they, Devin right now is not choosing college, but if he changes his mind by the end of the year, we can still hand him $2,000. Last year, we gave out about $9,000 in scholarships to the kids. So, and I didn't go to college right after high school, and it came to me later, and maybe he'll feel the same way on down the road.
Dave, what kind of money do they make once they're graduated and they start full-time and,
Well, we were just sitting out there in the hallway talking. I would say the average student will make $40,000 his first year. I mean, he's probably on pace to make that right now in the co-op. 40,000. Within about 3 years, you should be about 50,000. And I compare it to a 4-year college education for a teacher. You go 4 years of college, you come back, 40,000, 50,000. They're making that 40,000 their first year without any college. I got kids making $120,000 at GE right now. I got 2 kids at GE. It depends on where you work at. He's at a really good place. The money's gonna come to him pretty fast.
yeah,
So,
Good.
He should be at 60,000 probably in about 2-3 years.
nice.
So, yeah, he's doing a great job, and I know they love him, so they're gonna keep him.
And through Butler Tech, we go up to Washington DC and call on the senators and representatives, and they are just, from around the country, there are so many jobs in your industry that you could just about, anybody that goes through it can find a job
Yeah.
and make really good money.
And I know you've been part of it, Brenda was over the other day, Mr. Gator's been part of it. If you come to my open house, which you're all invited, happens in January, you just see these businesses, these kids get 10 job offers. And I only allow them to go on 3 visits to companies, but they'll get 10 job offers. And it almost gets to be a bidding war right there. They'll come to me and say, who's really good? I'll go him, and him, and her, and they'll walk over and they'll just start bidding on them, trying to buy them. And I always tell the kids, don't chase that money yet. That money will come. You'll get comfortable somewhere, get good at what you're doing, and then you can start chasing that money. And, most of the kids listen to me. Some do chase that money right away.
I remember the one kid, I don't know, a couple of years ago, he had like 12 or 13 job offers
We had
that day
Yeah,
that
that
they
day.
came over.
We actually had one kid with 17 job offers
Yeah.
in one day. And everybody literally, because they're actually watching the kids work to prove that they can do what they say they
Run the
can do.
machine
So,
and everything,
yep.
yeah.
So,
Good.
yeah, appreciate that. Devin, let's let Ethan. Ethan will step up and tell you a little bit about his job.
I'm Ethan Tencotti, and when I started machining, it was with Mr. Fox, and I love this teacher. He's my favorite.
Thank you.
I
You
got
just
into
an
it.
A.
I got into it through some family and friends. I was originally going to be a welder, but my parents didn't like that idea too much. So my job at Blue Ash, it's Blue Ash Tool and Die. I love it there, nothing but positive. Everyone was nice there, make good money, 19 bucks an hour, work 45 hours a week, 5 hours overtime. Made about $9 grand over the summer. I plan to stick with this company. I don't plan to go to college. And most of the stuff I work on is mostly airplane equipment, some military stuff.
All right. You answered a lot of my questions.
awesome.
Wow.
I was gonna ask you some of that stuff, but you got interested in, the interesting part about these kids, this is the year I couldn't really go out and recruit because of COVID. The kids were all at home. So these kids kind of, obviously Devin had Brendan to tell me this is a cool class, and he said I got to talk to him before this, but I don't remember that because, like I said, there was hardly anybody in the building that year. But really good, really proud of him. He's done a great job. I was gonna say how much money you make and all that, but he answered all this. And again, college, I say keep it in the back of your mind. You never know, you might want to do something like that. So
I'll keep it in mind.
okay.
And those welding jobs, we had 25 spots last year at Butler Tech for welding. We have 90 this year. That's how big of the demand is for welding. Just keep that in the back of your mind. If you're ever interested, there's 40% of the workforce is gonna be retiring in the next 5 years in welders throughout the country, so.
Silver tsunami, all of us guys with the gray
Yeah.
hair, right?
There you go.
It's gonna take over, so.
Yeah.
And matter of fact, I was sitting at home tonight, just got a call from Meyer Tool asking, you got anybody? And I said, not really, so. Everybody in the class that can be employed is employed right now.
Yeah.
So, and then I want to introduce Brandy McKinney, our female representative.
Hi.
Hi.
Tell them who you are and where you work at.
I work at Nolte, and basically it's production, so we like make the parts and ship them out, and like some of the things we do are quality control. We have to make sure the parts are being made right, and it's like a whole process. So you run the parts, you check them as you're making them. So whether that's checking the threads or like the steps on the parts, and then you finish your operation, and then they get sent to quality to make sure that operation was done correctly, and then they get shipped to the next operation.
How'd you get interested in my class?
So originally I thought it was robotics because I did C-STEM and I got a flyer for it, so I was like, this would be pretty cool. And then turns out it was just basically machines, and I was just like, this might be something I want to do. So I took the pre-class my sophomore year, and I really enjoyed it, so I decided to take the Butler Tech class and pretty much worked my way up from there, and I'm on my final year of that, so.
And she took everything really, really serious and done a great job. She was one of the first out of the class, so. I mean, you probably, did we have the open house that year?
Yeah.
Okay, so you probably got a lot of job offers that day too, didn't you?
Yeah, around like 6 or 7.
6 or 7
maybe 8.
job opportunities, yes, that's awesome. And you chose Nolte because you just felt comfortable there, or?
Well, it was close to home,
Oh, that's
so
right, yeah.
if anything were to happen with my transportation, I could just walk, and it wouldn't really be a problem. So,
How much money did you make over the summer?
around over the summer would be over $5,000, and that's working like normal 40 hours a week, and sometimes I pick up overtime, so I'd work nearly 60 hours a week.
Do you know any of the products you're working on? Sometimes you just don't know. I worked at Rhinestall 2 years ago, and they don't tell me what I'm working most of the time because they're military projects.
We do make some gun parts, like handles and stuff.
Blocks and stuff, I think I've seen
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Don't bring any of that to school.
So, as far as I know, there was another one that I knew.
So no guns and military stuff.
Yeah. So, it was really nice.
All right, and who's your favorite teacher?
You.
And since my principal's here, she's my favorite principal. So, well, that's what we got from the Coring Precision Machine. You guys got it. We'd love to see you at any of our open houses. Well, the door's always open, so come on in anytime. And I feel like our shop's pretty impressive. When I started there, I always told people this is bragging on me. We went from a 1980s shop to the year 2020. We're right there. The last machines donated were all computerized, and we're right at the cutting edge of technology. We also use a software called Mastercam. This is what the big companies use, and it's $15,000 a seat, but they sell it to us for $500 a seat. So it's incredible what the school opportunities for these kids to get to use some of this equipment. So I'm getting great kids at Coring High School. We're filling up the class every year, and I think this program's successful because you see what kind of kids I'm getting. If I'm getting those kind of kids, they're going to be employed every year. So thank you, and that's all we got for you.
I have a question for you.
Blake.
Obviously, they're young and in the workforce.
Yes.
What changes do you see in them once they're out working and kind of,
You know, I'd say the biggest thing is.
I would imagine a lot of the shops have a pretty eclectic group of people that work there.
Right.
So you get a
I would say it's, first of all, they probably enjoy working in the shop. I loved working in my shop, but I would say that being on time, all that, when the money's, if you're not showing up, they're not paying you. So these kids, learn that lesson pretty quick in life. These three right here were so mature for their age. I mean, they came in. When I sent them on the job, I knew there wasn't going to be a problem with anything they've done. But I would say the biggest difference is just making sure you're always on time. And, being on time is late, being 15 minutes early, and that's what you kind of see out of these kids when they show. They don't have to see me this year. They literally, when that bell rings, they go to work, they're gone. So, and that's a great thing for them. Some of them have study halls fourth bell, so they even get to leave a little bit early. So they don't have to wait till noon. They get there at 10:30. So, but yeah, the biggest thing is these three were always so mature and grown up. But that's what I want to do with a lot of other kids. It drives me crazy when I sit there in class and I'm subbing today in Eagles Gate, and I say to these kids, "What, guys, come see me. I'll put you to work." And they say, "Well, I'm going to be an astronaut. I'm going to be a astronomer, a physician." And I'm thinking, all right, yeah, that's great, but do you like studying as much as you do? And no, come see me. I'm going to put you to work right now. So hopefully, these kids face a little bit of reality there. These kids are talking about 8 years of college, and it's tough sometimes. But we just got good kids at Colerain, that's all I can tell you. So.
Well, kudos to their parents too for
Yes, you can see the
raising
parents are
three
here too.
great kids
That's
there,
another
yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
Some of these parents are teachers too, so.
yeah, yeah. I was wondering, do you guys go present at the middle schools, or have them come look at your rooms
Mr.
ever? Is
Kane.
that too
Do you
young?
guys remember Mr. Kane? He's retired.
Yeah.
Mr. Kane always had his career day, and we always went over and presented, but we haven't done that in about 3 years, so.
Okay.
We're always open to that. So if anybody wants us to go down and present, we'd love to. We can take some of our equipment and stuff, and show that stuff. So.
Thanks.
So when once you've got some steps under your feet, and then you head into the work field, do you feel like you're prepared for that? I mean, granted, I'm sure it's a new experience, but do the two kind of marry up? Like what you're doing in the work field is very similar to what you're doing, or identical to what Butler Tech is presenting to you?
Yes.
Awesome.
But I feel like I've shown everything that possibly could happen there, and they take it to another level. They'll really start specializing here. Right now, they go out and they know all the basic measuring tools and all that, but they take it to that 8 hours a day makes a big difference compared to my 3 hours. And you got grown-ups that are all working towards the same goal. That makes a big difference too. Most of the time, all the kids are well-behaved, but you got somebody acting up in the corner. It can be distracting while they're trying to get their work done. You get on the job, there's nobody acting up in the corner. They're all there because they're getting paid to be there and do their job. So.
And then from a career path, like say you're doing machining, like where can you go with that?
You for the shop owner for one, and then most of those guys around here all started out. I don't know if you know the Faxon brothers. They started out as machinists, and they own their own company doing $55 million a year now. Mechanical engineering, sales. I always tell them, get in. You can't fix these machines unless you know how to run them, and that's like $150 an hour anytime they show up to fix anything I got. So there's a lot of different ways. We have the tree, shop owner, saw operator, on up to machinist, and keep going up to tool and die to mechanical engineering. We have quite a few that go on to be mechanical engineers, and it's usually 100% of their college is paid for. We have one right now at Procter & Gamble. He plays football, so he quit for right now, but he'll be able to go right back to his job when football's over. But he's going to get all the stock options and all that kind of stuff too. So if he sticks with it, he'll be a millionaire by the time he graduates. So, but yeah, just good kids, and that's about it. I appreciate all of you guys' support, because one thing about this board, most of you guys have been in my shop, so I do believe you guys really do support us well, and it means a lot. And I know when I'm having my open house and you guys walk through, it means a lot to the kids. So if you haven't been there, get in there and see us, and meet some of these business advisories. So, but that's about all I got, unless you guys got anything for me.
I
Thank
will
you so
say one
much.
thing,
Thank
that
you.
you're very humble, because you gave a lot of credit to the kids and the parents, but you're an important ingredient in that success formula, so we appreciate all that you do as well.
I appreciate that. Thank you. Anything else?
Thank you, guys.
Congratulations, guys.
I got surgery in the morning, so I gotta go. See you guys.
I know. Kids graduate with English literature degrees, can't find anything. End up selling life insurance.
That brings us up to legislative update. Chris?
Mark, I was scouring for something of interest. They've been on summer recess, so there's absolutely nothing to report.
Okay. Keep scouring. And so we just did Butler Tech, right?
Yeah, yes.
Any reports from any employee organizations?
Yeah, actually, we do.
Right.
You ask me that every meeting, and I'm like, I hear all this great stuff from principals and administrators who are hearing great things all the time, so I've asked them, when you hear something great, encourage someone to come tonight and share information. So I have two people tonight who have, through various conversations with their principal or an administrator, have shared some really positive stuff and have been willing to come tonight and share. So we'll start with Kelly Doobie, who is our reading specialist at Coleraine Elementary, who wants to share some of her experience around the implementation of letters. And Kelly, if you don't mind, just kind of giving an overview to the board of what letters is, just so they have context.
Absolutely, and before I do, I have to say my teacher heart is so happy because I taught two of those three students at Coleraine Elementary. So to walk in and see them, well, poor Ethan I didn't even recognize, and I just want to go say I'm sorry to him because Jeff and I did, but to be here and see their success in high school, like look, I'm getting a little emotional. It's just so exciting to see where they are now after years of our instruction. So yeah, I am here to speak on letters, which of course I'm sure you're well aware is training that the district has provided for our elementary school teachers. And it is the language essentials for teachers of reading and spelling. So it's providing teachers with the knowledge they need. Now it's not a curriculum or program, but it's giving teachers the knowledge they need to teach reading and writing to their students. No matter what grade level, it covers the 5 components of reading: the phonemic awareness or phonological awareness, phonics, fluency, vocabulary, and comprehension, which also all ties into writing, which is a big focus for our district. And the first thing I have written down here is I'm a member of Facebook. You know, many of us are on social media, and there's a group, The Science of Reading, What I Didn't Learn in College. And I learned about letters from this Facebook group first. And so when the district said we're going to roll this out and give this opportunity to our teachers, this training, I was super excited because I know the cost, but I also hear the value from other teachers nationwide of the impact it's had on their instruction as teachers. So I was excited that we were able to provide this for our district too. So just some things that I would like to share. We are 3 weeks into the school year, and I have teachers literally running into my room, and I'm not exaggerating when I say running into my room. 3rd grade teacher came down the hall and she said, I gave the PAST assessment, and it's a phonological awareness assessment, which is that building block. It's that foundation for reading. And she said, last year I gave it, and of my 17 students, 15 students needed this intervention. They needed extra support. They needed drill and practice. And this year, she has 4. And I said, well, I can tell you why. 2nd grade teachers last year locked arms with me, and we did training throughout the year and coaching throughout the year, and they provided this assessment to their students, took the results, and implemented the phonological awareness drills. So to me, that impact is being seen now in 3rd grade, that there are less students that need this foundation. And if you think at 3rd grade, if we're laying the foundation, we have a big gap to close. And we really have to start catching these students up. But we're already starting. And I'm getting goosebumps again because every time the teachers tell me these little things, it just makes me so happy because we are. We're taking our letters training. We learned about phonological awareness last year. 3rd grade teachers weren't buying in at the time because they don't teach reading. They're teaching comprehension, which is our ultimate goal for teaching reading. But now they're seeing students are coming to them with the years of COVID, the educational gaps, and they're needing to lay that foundation and build it a little stronger, and we're seeing that happen. Another thing that came about was our 2nd and 3rd grade teachers started teaching some of their new phonics skills, their new words to their students within this first 3 weeks. And as they gave the words to these students, they started seeing their fingers tapping. They started seeing them pushing some sounds, and we call it tap it, map it, and then we graph it, we write it. We give that phoneme, which is the sound, to the grapheme, the letter correspondence, and these students are going into grade levels spelling unfamiliar words because of what their previous year's teachers taught them. And that training came from our letters instruction, and then teachers coming to me like, talk to me about tap it, map it, graph it, how do I do that, can you come in and model a lesson? And we did last year, and now our teachers are seeing the results first 3 weeks of school. they don't have to teach these students to have this independent skill or strategy to use because the previous year teacher taught it. Now they're coming in and just using it, which is great to see. We're already closing that gap, covering some ground, and we're able to instruct as an intent and opposed to teaching those strategies. Another one that I want to share is I was in Blake's classroom last year. His first grade teacher reached out and said, I don't know how to teach syllables. I want to teach open and closed syllables. Can you come in and help with a lesson? Absolutely. So I went in and we did open closed syllables. She continued those lessons throughout the year. We gave her a shout out in our Coleraine Elementary newsletter. So whole building seeing it. Then I have second grade teachers coming to me. Syllables. What should I be teaching with syllables? Third grade teachers, fourth grade teachers, to where this year, second grade's already started teaching closed syllables because they're doing short vowels, and you have a short vowel because the syllable's closed. They're giving that language and that knowledge to their students. Fourth grade, again, we're closing that gap from those years of COVID. They have a whole syllable unit planned for this year to help close that gap for their fourth graders that are still struggling with the fundamentals of reading, but they've already have it in place. I've shared resources with them. They're asking for letter tile kits that our second grade teachers are using for their tier 1 instruction, but now we need it as an intervention in the upper grades. But it's all coming from this training that we're learning is so important to support the how and the why of learning how to read. I think those are the big ones. Oh, do we see it in the data? That's the big outcome, right? We want to see the improvements in the data, and is this instruction showing us? Well, I haven't got to analyze all of our fall data yet, but I do. That same third grade teacher that ran into my room excited about that phonological awareness pass assessment came to me and said, I've never had so many kids on the oral reading side of map fluency as opposed to foundational skills than I have them this year. So to me, just hearing, before I get to dig into that data, hearing a teacher say that tells me it's working. And we are seeing the results in our data. And I think back, I don't know if you know Mr. Gilbert, but I used to be Kelly McDonald before I got married, and I was Hannah's third grade teacher in language arts, and I thought, okay, I didn't do all of this for Hannah. I did the best I could, which of course makes me think of Maya Angelou's quote, do the best you can until you know better, then when you know better, do better. And I think that's exactly what our district is doing for this letters training for our staff and our students.
Thank you for sharing. We really appreciate
Absolutely.
what you do to support this, because your role is really important in being that connection to teachers and that resource so that you can go in and help support the implementation, because we know it's scary and it's hard to do something different, but it's not as scary when you have someone beside you. So thank you for everything you do.
Absolutely.
You should be a little bit more passionate about it.
Sorry.
I love your
Kidding.
I'll do better.
I'm
I'll do
completely
better
kidding.
to do better next time,
Well,
right?
You were such an influence. My daughter's teaching, will be teaching.
I
So,
love it.
yeah.
See, well, this
She's
is a
had-
perfect
she's
night
had
for me to
great-
come.
Full circle.
She's had great influence.
Yay, we love Hannah.
Thank you,
Any
Kelly.
other questions or anything for me?
Thank you
I
so
love
much.
that you tied in the data too, because that's such an important piece to see what's coming from this and the gaps, closing that COVID gap
Absolutely.
and really focusing on specific grade levels. So thank you. I'm sure that wasn't an easy thing for you to choose to leave the classroom and go into a different role
It
a few
wasn't.
years ago, but
It wasn't. I was terrified.
yeah, you're
Um,
doing amazing.
But I also thank the district for giving us what we need to help support the teachers in that way too.
Yeah.
So that's been good. And teachers are believing in the training this year because now they're able to start the year with having some of it under their belt. And like I said, we're already implementing in classrooms, so I'm excited to look at the data at the end of the year and even see how that grows, and we close that gap and get our students closer to reading before they enter fourth grade.
Awesome. Thanks for
Thank
being
you.
here.
Thank you.
So we also have, well, kind of full circle, we have an elementary and a high school. So Molly Hafel's here tonight, Coleraine High School science teacher, and she wants to share her experience with academic teaming, which is some professional development that we have been working on this year, and as one of our pioneers, she jumped right in. So I'm going to let her share her experience.
Hi, I'm Molly. I teach at Coleraine. This year I have AP Chemistry, Honors Chemistry. I'm doing a sheltered ESL chemistry class and physical science, which is freshman chemistry. So I get to see all of our kids. When you think chemistry, you probably think group work. Hopefully you learn in science that we have to work together. And then when you think group work, you think you were either the person that did all the work or you're the person that was screwing around and did none of the work. But now we have academic teaming. I was fortunate enough to get to do some academic teaming PD put on by the district. And academic teaming is group work with structures. So you no longer get to be the kid that does nothing in your group. And it's not just you have to do this, it's really simple structures that we can put in. We have these agree-disagree cards, which I love using, and they have sentence ends on the back, so it's kind of a joke at this point. The kids are like, I disagree because, and then they get kind of sassy with their answers, but we do it every day, and then they just start using it in sentences. No longer do they just give you a claim, they give you a claim with evidence. I know I'm not the only teacher using it, because my kids know how to use it in all their classes, and I've heard you might get to experience this in the future, which will be really fun. And feel free to stop by and do some group work with any of my kids too.
Curriculum will be planning a SALT report around academic teaming, and we'll bring Molly back so she can demonstrate some of the work that she's doing.
Do some fun group work.
But thank you for sharing your experience and the positive impact it's having on your classroom and the kids.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you.
Molly.
I might use that at home.
Awesome. Carol, thanks for setting that up.
We'll try to make sure that when we hear positive things, we can bring people to share their positive things with the board, with you as well. I want you guys to be able to hear what we hear.
Great. Okay, that brings us to community comments. We have one first. Let me go over some guidelines. Northwest Board of Education welcomes the opportunity to listen to Northwest local school district residents' comments, suggestions, and concerns on educational issues. It is important to remember that the board conducts the meetings in public, but the meetings are not a public forum. The intent of the meeting is to allow the board to complete needed business. Northwest Board of Education meetings are conducted using Robert's Rules of Order, newly revised. Most matters which fall under the jurisdiction of the board may be addressed during the community comments section of our business. The board will not discuss negotiations, personnel in an open session. Any concerns or comments about individuals ought to be brought to the attention of the district administration. A school district cannot discuss personal student information, whether or not discipline was imposed on a student, nor the reason for that decision, because disclosure would be a violation of state and federal law. The following guidelines will be used for public commentary during the board meeting. Individuals wishing to address the board must complete and submit a request to speak form to the board president prior to the beginning of the meeting. Individuals will preface their comments by announcement of their name, address, and group affiliation if that's applicable. Each person will be given.
Something went wrong. Please try again.
Siri. Oh. Sorry about that. Public commentary is confined to that portion of the agenda. Individuals will be recognized to speak once on a given topic. All statements shall be directed to the presiding officer. No person may individually address or question board members, district administration, or members of the public in attendance. During this time, appropriate follow-up by district administration may occur later at time if warranted, and no more than 15 minutes will be devoted to public participation unless the board unanimously votes to continue the discussion. Repetitive statements may be ruled out of order, and the presiding officer has the right to terminate participation of any individual if the person violates rules of good order. Tonight we have one submission to address the board, and that is Sherry Greene.
Good evening. I will reiterate with Kelly, letters is phenomenal. So I do teach in the district, but I'm coming tonight as a parent. I'm probably going to cry just because of the way things are. So I'm coming as a concerned parent because I'm a firm believer that not only our life experience of building I feel like sports are a great thing that our school district does, but I feel like our school district needs to provide transportation for our kids to get to the sports events safely. It's just a little rough, and the timing has just kind of been weighing on my heart long before this past week with the loss of Tyler. But it's definitely been on my heart for about 2 years now, so just kind of bear with me here. I know finding a bus driver is difficult right now. I know that all districts are in crisis with the bus drivers, but I also feel that busing needs to be provided for sports. My son was put in an opportunity in a situation with baseball. And again, I'm a total sports advocate because I feel some kids come to school just for sports. I mean, they're here for academics, I know, but we get them here because they have a sport to play. But they're driving to Milford, they're driving to Oxford, they're driving to Middletown, and that's over 30 miles away from the school district. And not only that, they're inexperienced, and they're hitting that 275, 75 loop right there. And I'm sitting there going, my child, I know, does not have the experience on that area. And I'm sending him out there, and he was stuck one time where a kid didn't have a ride, and another kid didn't have a ride, so he's got 2 kids in the car, and there's one child, he's only supposed to have one other child in the car with them. So then I feel liable for that child, and my child, and the other 2 children, if he gets pulled over for any reason whatsoever. And God forbid, an accident happens. So, at this point, I'm wondering who is liable, because it will all be on the parents. And I feel like we need to get these kids to school safely, or to their athletic events safely. I feel like there's workable solutions. In our district, I think we have smaller vehicles that are vans. That might be a solution to get some kids to a sporting event safely. I do know that we have golf, and I know we do not have a golf. They have to get transported every day to go practice and play golf, but I don't know if we could use the vans to help get those golfers to the courses. Even scheduling softball and baseball. They're both playing Princeton. There's a softball field and a baseball field, taking varsity that way, just so the kids do not have to drive. I know I sent an email to Mark and Nicole in early August before Tyler had passed away with this concern, but I just feel it is adamant that we need to start taking a look at how these kids are getting these far distances in unfamiliar roads. And I do know accidents can happen down the road, but they're familiar with this area. They're not familiar with driving into Oxford and making a right-hand turn on some country road. They're not familiar with driving to Middletown, like I said, with that 275, 75 interchange. And I just feel like this needs to be looked at. I had a whole bunch of other stuff and I got sidetracked, so I'm sorry. But I just feel like this needs to be addressed. So there's some great kids out there, and we just want them all safely home to their parents. So, thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you, Sherry.
Chris, I got a question. Why are we not giving transportation to these teams? Or do they have the option to use the vans?
Yeah, we have several coaches who do get their driver's certification.
Well, like the baseball team, why aren't they driving the vans and driving these kids?
So our coaches work directly with the athletic directors on their schedules and the transportation, and they have utilized vans in the past, and we have Matt here tonight, but they have utilized vans in the past. They have, when they're not able to provide transportation, and they've told the team that they're going to provide their own transportation, our athletic directors have stopped teams from driving themselves if they felt it was too far.
What do you need to drive the van?
It's a van certification.
It's a very brief certification.
I mean, could parents put that, like, I talked to you about this, Chris, could parents, like, there's parents almost at every single event. Like when Hannah Golf, there was, all of us walked together, so there was adults driving there. Could one of them step up, do the certification, and then take a van and bring the kids collectively?
Yes, and we've done that, I believe, with band before.
So like
We
the
also
like the
have-
baseball team, for example, how many guys are on the team? 30 guys total, JV and varsity, I'm guessing. Why don't they? Huh?
They don't go to the same place, they play opposite.
Why aren't they getting a bus or a van? We don't provide it for them?
I don't.
That's an
Huh?
That's an athletic department. The athletic department works directly with transportation
Well,
on that.
Matt, let's hear what he says, because I want to know why we're not providing buses or vans for the teams. Why should her son drive, like
So-
she says, up to Middletown for a baseball game?
So a lot of it's around timing. Baseball fields don't have lighting, so we have to get there and get there early.
Okay.
The earliest we can get a bus is 4 o'clock. we gotta get the kids home from school.
Right.
And then so, depending on the event and things, we have used busing, we have not, from various reasons and whatnot. Also around golf, when is the course available? What time can they book it out before the public gets there? And you're also fighting daylight all the time also for that. So those are some of the driving factors. Anytime a student drives or we drive to a destination, that comes across my desk and I approve it. Anytime there's a weather that's a factor, snow, rain, anything like that, I shut it down immediately. I call that athletic director, I'll say we'll be there when we'll be there. That's not a negotiable item. Anytime, I remember last year, boys soccer going to Beaver Creek, I shut that down and we took a bus for that. So there are some that are an absolute no, and there are some others that we work with on that.
How many vans do you have access to?
So we have 3 vans, one cannot transport students. So 2 vans that transport students, one takes 7, one takes 6 students.
And then are there any in the transportation lot that could be used?
We've got about 5 vans, but it depends on when the routes get back.
Sure.
That's typically the issue.
What time would you say taking the kids to school, when is that settled down? Between 4 and 5?
Most of the vans and buses get back in right around 4:30, 5 o'clock.
Chris, is the lack of drivers affecting this at all?
Yeah, that's another issue. We do have some sub-drivers, so that we call them casual drivers. And casual drivers may pick AM, PM only, or they may just want to drive field trips or athletic trips. So when we get those folks, we utilize them. Obviously, we've got enough buses in our fleet. It's just getting enough drivers to be able to transport.
Matt, I know soccer, I guess, is parents driving. Is
Yeah.
that just a coach's decision? Some
Yeah,
parents have
anytime
brought
we can
that
get
up.
parents to carpool, we go that route.
Okay.
Obviously, that's tough too when you're looking at 3:30 and
Yeah.
4 o'clock with most parents working. But yeah, that's always our first option is we can carpool with parents.
Okay. Or players that say, no, I would prefer to drive myself and not want
Correct,
to
some
ride
will
with
do
someone
that,
else.
and so, yeah.
Okay.
And they sign a waiver and fill all the paperwork out?
Yeah, parents sign off and students sign off on it.
And they're only allowed to have 1 kid in their car?
Well, it's age restricted,
If for-
16.
Is it 16
When
and?
you're 17, you can have as many as you want.
Gotcha. Okay.
Thanks, Matt.
It's not something we take lightly. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
No.
it's a big deal. Obviously, we care deeply about our kids, and we always try to make the right decision for
Yeah.
them, so.
Okay, good.
Thank you.
Thanks, sir. Okay, that brings us to the approval of superintendent consent items.
So tonight we have several personnel, business, and curriculum items for approval, so I'll start with Susan.
So for our personnel, we have 2 retirements, 8 resignations, 22 initial appointments, 4 change in status, and various supplemental issues, or alignments rather. I would also like to draw your attention to the transportation MOU, which reinstates the position of trip coordinator. Since our supervisors are driving these days, this will help manage the workload.
In business.
So for donations, we have 1 donation from Rumpke. It's for 2 scoreboards for the softball and baseball fields at Northwest High School, roughly a little over $13,000 donation. We also have vendor contracts for our non-public contracts, intervention materials, special education services and tuition, and also 1 for nursing services.
In the curriculum office, I'm requesting approval of a revised fee sheet for middle school. We do have a methods book that we purchased based on the instrument that each student plays. Those range in price from $7 up to almost $18. Our percussion books came back higher than the original fee list you approved, and so we're asking for a maximum fee of $18 for methods books. We will only charge the actual cost to each family and student.
The superintendent recommends the Board of Education approve the adoption of the consent items as listed.
So moved.
Any discussion, questions? Passes 5-0. Thank you, everyone. Brings us to Amy Woods.
Good evening. So first we have the minutes from August 27th regular meeting to dispense with reading of and approve. Next we have to accept, approve, and appropriate grants that our schools have received. So Corrin High School has received their annual theater grant, and also they've applied for and received a financial literacy grant to help with the new financial literacy requirements. PRE has a 5th grade language arts grant, and PRMS is starting a food pantry. And then finally, we need to revise our change funds for our athletic funds for the games. So we need to increase those up, and that's what's been on the agenda tonight. So with that, I'd like to ask the board to approve the items as listed.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Who was doing the food pantry?
Pleasant Run Middle.
Pleasant Run Middle. They do that at Taylor as well, correct?
Correct.
That is well used, from what I understand. Very
And the
well
Pleasant
used.
Run Middle one was a teacher who, this was a passion of hers, and she kind of took it through the processes to make sure that she could get this started. So it was very nice that it came from within the building.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't think people realize the need that it is out there.
Is the food pantry open like at least one day a week, or how many days a week, you know?
She's just now starting it. It's just getting off the ground. We're just setting the fund up so that she can collect donations and
Excellent. Okay.
Messed up. I forwarded the agenda.
does it not let you go back to vote? It will let you go forward though?
Hmm?
Okay, so I can call roll.
Sorry about that.
That's all right. Chris?
Aye.
Mr. Heiser? Mr. Detzel?
Aye.
Mr. Gilbert?
Aye.
Mr. Teetsort?
Aye.
Mrs. Dalby?
Aye.
That brings us to superintendent update.
So just want to continue on the transportation piece. I know the MOU was approved, which we appreciate that. It'll help with having one of our drivers who has done the athletic routing and the trips be able to help support the administration as they do that. We obviously are canceling routes, as several other districts in the area are, because of the shortage of bus drivers. We actually are in a place where we have almost all of our routes covered by contracted drivers. However, we have, on average, since August 23rd, when we canceled our first set of routes, we're averaging around 9 to 10 absences per day in the department. And there's not enough subs. As Chris mentioned, we have 2 different kinds of subs in the department. One is called a flex driver. They show up every day in the morning, and they show up every day in the afternoon, so they can pick up those routes that are vacant. We currently have no flex drivers. All of them that we had in the past have been pulled up into a regular route. We do have 7 casual subs, which are people who randomly pick routes based on what fits their schedule. Some of them prefer AM, some PM, some only do athletic or field trips. And so those 7 subs are filling in as many of the gaps as possible. That's why we're still continuing to cancel routes. Our supervisors are driving almost on a daily basis again, in addition to trying to split routes, double run routes, to make sure that as many kids as possible are getting to school without canceling. But we are in a position where until we continue to build that sub pool, we're managing that based on the number of absences we have in the department. Susan has been doing walk-in interview events. We have 3 more coming up, and we encourage people who are interested, even if you can only be a casual sub bus driver and only drive a couple of routes, any little bit would help. So anyone who's interested, we do paid training, so you can come in, go through the process, get hired. We pay for your training. Within 3 to 6 weeks, you can be certified and then start picking up routes so that we can build that sub pool. So we are continuing to work on that, and I appreciate that Susan's still doing walk-in events, trying to make sure that we can get as many people as possible. But I wanted to continue to give you an update on that.
Susan, what do you think about advertising at the senior centers? 'Cause we've gotten a lot of volunteers, like through my church and things like that. These are people that have some time on their hands. you know, just a flyer that you have a walk-in event, or maybe you have a flyer tailored to that arena of folks.
Absolutely, we are willing to try anything and everything, so that's a great idea, thank you.
And we did customize our flyer for the upcoming hiring events, even though we have other positions, to really tailor it toward drivers and buses. So hopefully that will attract some people who might be interested in, like I said, even if you can only do a couple of routes a week, every little bit will help.
Sure. Anything else? Any questions for Daryl?
No, but thanks, Chris and Daryl both. I've been forwarding questions, and I appreciate you always getting right back to me so I can
That's great, appreciate it.
funnel that through. Thank you.
Yeah, so thank you.
Okay, that brings us to board member comments. Chris?
Mark just wanted to comment about the last two home football games, how well-mannered and well-behaved everybody has been, and what a pleasant, even though the scoreboard wasn't quite the way we wanted it, the evenings were just very relaxed and no trouble whatsoever, and total change from the first week. So appreciate everything you guys have done over there at Coleraine to change the atmosphere over there. Very noticeable, at least to me.
Aren't you running the scoreboard?
Oh, yeah, there's that.
Well, it's maybe the first, since I've been back, it has been maybe, but everything that is happening now, there's just been no
So
chaos.
it's on you, because you're running that scoreboard. I never thought about
Well,
that,
I didn't want to
Nicole.
take the credit.
Wait till we
but,
get to my comments.
Mark, you're the one that's the spotter, and I'm not sure you've been making the right calls here. That's all I have.
Jim?
I just want to thank Dave Fox for coming and just bringing his students and just looking at the jobs that these kids can get, and they seem to love it. And just, I mean, I think that's how all our kids are in our Butler Tech classes at Northwest and Coleraine, and appreciate him coming. And if you haven't been to his open house, you've got to go in January, because you'll have 35 companies there watching these kids work these machines, and I mean, offering them jobs right there on the spot. And it's pretty cool to just stand back and just kind of watch that and see how that happens. And I want to thank Sherry for coming and speaking. I agree with you 100%. We got to do something about not letting these kids drive all over the place. And as Chris said, we need more bus drivers. We've got to have, if parents want to come and take the test or whatever and drive, a van or something like that, and, that would be big to do that, so. But I want to thank you for speaking.
Thank you, Kelly and Molly, for speaking, and thank you guys for being here, and Matt, watching over those kids and making sure they get there safely, because like you said, I know that's not something that you take lightly. So, Sherry, thank you for speaking up, really appreciate that. And Brandy, Devin, and Ethan, and Dave for their presentation. I think those kids are an awesome role model, and I'd like to see more of them, and more of them speaking to the younger kids on what they can do. It's not always right from high school to college, and they're a great role model for that. So, and Rumpke for the donation to Northwest High School. It's awesome to see them continue to give back. So, thank you.
Yeah, I appreciate Dave Fox coming from the precision machining and bringing the students, Devin, Ethan, and Brandy. It's always great to hear from the students and their accomplishments and how they're doing in school. And that's all I have tonight. Thank you.
Thanks. Kelly, it was great seeing you again. Thank you for your influence on my daughter. Molly, thank you for presenting. I just want to extend my prayers and well wishes to Tyler's family. Just tragic, and I'll just leave it at that. The precision machining group, that was really neat to watch that or listen to the kids talk about. They're going to be so far ahead in the work field in just maturity by having that. Some of these machine shops are not easy to work in. Actually, I have a nephew that works at Blue Ash, where Ethan works. And, I I would imagine they don't hold a whole lot back with a student versus, a regular full-time employee. So they're getting that experience long before they're out of high school, which is priceless.
They expect you to be an adult
Absolutely.
when you start that first day.
Usually,
Yeah.
they'll let you know that.
Yeah.
So, I love that we had Kelly and Molly come and speak, because there's a billion positive things that happen in our school district every single day. It's interesting on Friday nights when, like Chris was saying, I work during the football games, and I see Aaron's team and Matt's team. They're there. Everybody in that stadium is their family and their children. Like, they take 100% ownership. And I use that as an example as the rest of our school district, because that's what our teachers do. That's what everybody that works here does. That's that magic secret sauce stuff that education has. And so I like that people are coming and speaking at the board meeting, because these are things we would not know, and our community would know. We have community members come and speak about what's going on academically. It doesn't seem like anything's going on. Well, it is going on. You just aren't aware of it, and we may not even be aware of it because we're not full-time employees in the district. So I just wanted to bring all that up, and that's all that I have. Thank you.
For the executive section tonight, the board will approve a motion to move into executive session to consider discipline of a public employee or official and to discuss the evaluation of the superintendent treasurer. The superintendent recommends the Board of Education approve the motion to move into executive session as listed.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. So we will break for executive session for however long that'll take. When we come back, we will close the meeting out, but there will not be any more conversation or agenda items other than closing the meeting out. And that passes 5-0.